Folks, welcome back to the channel. We have UFC 314 this weekend. In my personal opinion, this card is one of the best pay-per-view cards we've had in a while. Super excited for this. Top to bottom, all fun fights. I'm really looking forward to this one as a fan, and it should just be a good card for us to break down here today. So without any more wasted time, links are in the description. I'll see you guys in the first fight. Interesting one here in the women's bantamweight division. Nora Cornolle takes on Hailey Cowan. Now, why is this interesting? Well, it's because Hailey Cowan has been gone for like 2 years. Came into the UFC late to MMA, honestly. She was an athlete prior, came to MMA, was kind of learning on the job, and now she's taking like 2 years off. So you got to imagine that some of this isn't going to be accurate because she's probably been developing. I mean, you would assume, right? But we're going off of what we know, and the best thing we can do is go off of what we know. Nora Cornolle, she's 4-1 in her last 5, 3-2 for the Cowan side. Let's start on the Cowan side when we break this down. Cowan, from what we know, like I said, decent striker. She's mostly a kicker, so you got kicks to all levels. Her striking defense isn't very good. She makes up for a lot of things with her strength and athleticism. Decent grappler. She can mix in takedowns. Again, has to kind of muscle them. She uses that strength and athleticism, and she has pretty good takedown defense, again, because of the athleticism. Jeez, get out of here. Next, Nora Cornolle. Good striker. She got good combinations, kicks to all levels, and she can kick off either leg. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that she has to do the switch. What I mean by that is she can kick either off her lead leg or her rear leg, because realistically, most fighters can kick off of either leg. However, a lot of fighters have to switch the leg to their back leg to kick off of it and make it not look stupid, right? And not look like a mess. Especially fighters that are real heavy on that front leg, they can kick better off the back leg, or if they have to switch their weight, things like that. She can just pick up her leg and kick off the front and keep going with whatever. So good for her. I like that a lot. Good clinch. She's got really good knees and elbows and some decent trips out of the clinch. I think that's going to help her here. Although it is going to be tricky to trip Cowan from the clinch because, powerhouse, she's going to be stronger in the clinch. But I do think mixing in the trip attempts is going to open up knees and elbows. Decent grappling, but she has struggled with her own top control and also getting taken down. Now, if she gets on top, her ground and pound is pretty deadly. But if she gets taken down, Cowan can bank a round, no problem. Do I think she can bank 2 rounds and then not get finished? No. I think Cowan's going to have some trouble here. I think Cornolle's the better fighter. I do see a possibility for Cowan just to go to the takedowns early, eat some shots, and then bank a round. Maybe she even banks 2 and gets the win. I don't know. I don't think that she can here. It's possible. Like I said, it's an MMA fight. But I'm going to side with Cornolle. I like that she's been a little more active. I like that she's the far better striker. And I do think that even if she gets taken down for a round, it's not going to happen over and over again. So who knows? I've been wrong before. We're taking Cornolle. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you in the matchup here. Tresean Gore takes on Marco Tulio. Tulio's looked great so far. 5-0 in his last 5, 13-1 on the career. Tresean Gore has been a bit inconsistent, but he's 3-2 in his last 5. When we look at this one here, Tulio, good striker, plenty of power, plenty of volume. He's got a really dynamic attack. The kicks are something I like a lot, especially the leg kick. In the grappling, I think he's even better here, but he will play around on the striking first. He's got solid grappling, decent takedowns, but once he gets the fight to the mat, the ground and pound's there. He can sweep well if he ends up on bottom, and he just kind of floats on top, making his opponent shift underneath him while he finds his spots, lands his ground and pound, and then eventually maybe looks for a sub or just finishes his opponent with the pound. So, Tresean Gore. A lot of people were really high on this guy on The Ultimate Fighter, and I couldn't see it. I was notoriously low on Tresean Gore, and I still am notoriously low on Tresean Gore, so maybe I'm skewed here. Decent striker, don't get me wrong, he's got plenty of power, but he has this high guard style where he sits here and just waits for his opponents to finish and then throws a shot. He just waits, and he's not trying to intercept anything, he's not trying to cut them off, just waits for them to finish and then throws. And that's why he'll lose a lot of times on the volume, and if they know he's going to throw as soon as they stop, they finish their combination and then get out of the way. He's a decent grappler. He can mix in takedowns. He does have some of a wrestling background, and that is something he could do here. I just don't know that it'd be a good idea. But he does have a tight squeeze, and I can't take that away from him. This dude gets a hold of your neck. He just rips that sucker off. He doesn't even have to get the choke in. He's just going to try to pull your head from your shoulders, and that'll probably get you to either tap or your neck's broken. I don't know. So he does have that going for him. Honestly, though, I think skill for skill, I think the fighter that should win this more often than not is going to be Marco Tulio, and I think he does that at a high clip. So we're taking Tulio here. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next fight. Sumudaerji takes on Mitch Roposo. Roposo 4-1 in his last 5, 2-3 for Sumudaerji, and that is a bit misleading because Yeah, Sumudaerji's been around the UFC for a bit, and Roposo's just kind of getting his feet wet in the promotion. So there is that. For Roposo, though, we're going to start over there. He's a decent striker. He's got good combinations, fast hands, and a really good calf kick, but he's willing to work backwards, and he's also a little bit too patient at times. So he can lose minutes on the feet, although he does have some clean abilities here. I would consider him a good striker if he could get this stuff figured out a little bit better. Decent grappling. He's got really good timing on his takedowns, and he will put them at the end of a striking exchange, but even if he gets the takedowns, it's what he can do with them. It's not usually the best. However, in this matchup, I don't think it'll matter because Sumudaerji can't grapple very well. He has decent scrambles, but that's it. He struggles off his back, and his submission defense is atrocious. Dude's been subbed in at least 5 of those losses, potentially 6. I can't remember off the top of my head, but a lot of the losses. So that is rough. He's only 2-3 in his last 5, so he's been getting beaten quite a bit. But dude's a darn good striker. He's got good movement. He's got a really good ability to dart in and out. He'll come in, land his shots, and then just get right out of town. Does a good job there. Fast hands, plenty of volume, straights at range. He's got really good range there, and he's got a nice leg kick. I do think he's going to be the better striker here. It's just, does he stop the takedowns? You can't back him knowing that. You can't back him knowing that he's just going to get subbed if somebody gets on top and starts working him. But you also can't back Roposo here knowing that on the feet, even though he's good, he's willing to back up and he can be way too patient. So it's really tough. This is a complete pass for me. Stay away, crack open a root beer, toss that sucker back, and have a good time. For me, though, I do have to make a pick. And because of that, I'm going to take Sumudaerji and feel really nervous about it because you guys are going to be like, man, you suck. You picked Sumudaerji when he loses. And I'm going to say, dude, I told you not to pick anybody on this one. So get off my case. I'll see you guys here. Sedriques Dumas takes on Michal Oleksiejczuk. Now, Oleksiejczuk is 1-4 in his last 5. He's had a lot of red flags lately, and that's not something you want to see. However, they're giving him a big step back in competition where he takes on the 3-2 in his last 5, Dumas. Interesting fight to break down. Let's start on the Oleksiejczuk side. He's a pretty good striker. That's not really been his issue. The guy comes forward. He works the body well. He's got plenty of power. That's not the problem. It's the grappling. His takedown defense is not very good. And he can be outstruck by higher level strikers for sure. And he doesn't really have a backup option. Like, he can mix in takedowns. Like, he's not bad at it. But the problem is he's reluctant to do so. And by the time he does it, it's usually too little too late. But I do think that the grappling disadvantage for him has been his problem most of the time when he's lost these fights. He is a pretty decent striker. On the other side, Dumas. He's a pretty good striker as well, mostly with the straights. He's got good, long, rangy straights, plenty of power, really quick head kick. I do like the head kick, but he's wide open to counters. The dude is just right there to be countered. So I could see him landing a shot on Oleksiejczuk and then just eating a bigger shot back, because I think even though both guys hit pretty hard, I want to say Oleksiejczuk has that X factor in the power there. So we're going to go power side, going to Oleksiejczuk. However, there's some grappling upside for Dumas because, like I said, Oleksiejczuk has just been giving up takedowns and just doesn't have it on the ground. Dumas likes to slam his opponents, and he's also got a quick guillotine, but he himself can be taken down. So both of these guys struggle with that same thing in the takedown defense. This is a hard one to call. Stay away. Stay far away. That's my opinion. Do whatever you want, but stay far away. I'm going to take Oleksiejczuk to get back on track here, but yeah, dude, I don't know. I have to make a pick. That's what I do. That's what I do in these videos. If I just came up here and was like, nah, I'm not making a pick on this one, you guys would be upset. And now I'm not here to upset you. I don't want to hurt your feelings. We're taking Oleksiejczuk. Featherweight banger next. Darren Elkins takes on Julian Erosa. Both of these guys are 3-2 in the last 5. And look at those records. Those are darn near a mirror image. One more win for Elkins, and he'd have the record would be the exact same. That's how good matchmaking here, guys. You were like, hey, who's got the closest record? Let's put them together. And it worked out. So here we go. This should be a fun matchup, honestly. Julian Erosa in here. Good striker. He's got good forward pressure, tons of power, tons of volume. He's going to come forward and just punch at odd angles because he'll have his hands right here as he's walking guys down half the time, flying in to crash the pocket. Like I said, hands are going to be low. Dude's just in there swinging, having a good time, and he might crack you, might put you out. If he doesn't, he might get you to shoot a sloppy takedown, and that's where his grappling comes in. He'll either get the takedown against the cage and start working you from the top, or you'll shoot, he'll sprawl, and he'll go for that front choke. And he's got a great front choke series. Darce, Anaconda, Guillotine, does not matter. He will just latch one up, and you're going to have a rough time because he can scramble well even if you somehow chain that takedown. The guy has the ability to grapple with the best of them. His only problem in his fights has been getting caught in a firefight early on. As the fight goes on, his chin gets better. I don't know how that works. It's a thing. But if you catch him early, that's your best bet to beat a guy like Erosa. I don't know that Elkins can do that, but we're going to talk about it. Pace and cardio, Erosa's got it, just like Darren Elkins. These guys are going to be putting out volume like crazy, whether that's with takedowns or strikes. There's going to be volume. For Elkins, decent striker. He's not as clean or as polished, but the dude's going to come forward and he's going to put his punches and kicks together while just eating shots with his face. Doesn't check leg kicks, but he just eats shots. The dude can take damage. He will bleed all over the darn place, that's for sure, but he can take a shot. He doesn't seem to get wobbled very often. Solid wrestler. Good takedowns. He'll chain them suckers together. Scrambles extremely well. Very impressive submission defense. This dude is super hard to submit. I remember watching the fight with Elkins and Derek Minner, and Minner had this dude dead to rights with some ground and pound, but made the mistake thinking, oh, I'm going to be the guy to submit Darren Elkins, and kept trying to go for the chokes, even though he was just pounding the dude's head in, and then said, nah, instead of pounding this guy out, I'm going to go for a choke. And then he lost the fight. So, bad move. Submission defense is very good. So, Juicy, if you're watching this, don't fall for that. He will flow really well position to position. Elkins is a very smooth guy when he transitions. He's really good at, okay, say he gets the takedown. He's on the hips. He's flowing to side control, but his opponent's starting to scramble. He'll flow to the back. Oh, they're trying to roll. He flows to mount position. He does a really good job of just flowing and giving the opponent what they want, but only so much so that he can follow them to the next position and take advantageous positions. This is going to be a great fight, but I'm biased as heck. If you haven't watched my video yet, myself and Pink Floyd, my good friend and editor now, at least for that video, did a really good video on Julian Erosa that you guys are going to love. I'm going to put it at the end screen of this, so if you haven't seen that already, or even if you have, watch it again. It's a great video. I like it. I watched it, and I got hyped for it, and I did it, so that's wild. But Julian Erosa's the pick. You knew that coming in. You didn't have to watch this to know I was going to pick him. I don't care who he's fighting. I'm picking him. And if you give me crap in the comments for picking him, if he somehow loses this fight, I don't care. You're dumb. You're dumb. All right, next 155ers next. Chase Hooper takes on Jim Miller. For Hooper, 4-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Miller. And this is kind of a matchup of the young versus the old. Miller, the dude is still getting it done at the ripe old age of ancient. And Hooper, only 25 years old. The dude feels like he's been around forever, but that's because he got to the UFC at such a young age. Here he is, fighting the older guys now, seeing how he does. He beat Clay Guida last time, so now he's like, well, who else can I beat up that's, on that edge of retirement? Jim Miller, that sounds great. Just kidding. That's I'm sure Chase is just accepting whoever they give him, right? Anyway, for Miller, dude's a good striker. He puts together basic combinations. Now, basic, I've explained this before. It doesn't mean bad. What it means is they're simple, meat and potatoes kind of strikes, like your 1-2-3 or like your 2-3-2, something like that. Puts together this simple basic combinations because they work, and he does that well. He's got a good leg kick, decent power. That's something that kind of came on later in his career after the Lyme disease was all cleared up and all that good stuff, or at least, started to get better. That's when he started really putting that stink on them punches. So Jim Miller got the power, doing better there. He is a solid grappler. That's probably what's been his best asset throughout his career, outside of maybe his fight IQ. He's got more experience than anybody actually at the UFC level ever. So there is that. But solid grappler, and that's not even an exaggeration. He has the record for the most fights in UFC. So there's that, or most wins at least. I don't know about fights. I think probably fights. I feel like he does. Either way, solid grappler, good transitions, moves position to position well, decent takedowns. But his guillotine is his best move. When he gets a hold of that neck, that guillotine is very, very crafty. Now, do I think a guy like Chase Hooper is going to fall for that? I would imagine not. I would imagine no. But Jim Miller's gotten other people that you don't think he's going to get with that guillotine. So there is that. On the other side, Hooper, decent striker. I almost wanted to put good, but I didn't know what to say because his striking changes so much fight to fight. He is improving every fight. He clearly has some decent power to him, probably even better than decent power. Dude's cracking people and dropping them now. But the grappling threat really opens it up, and the fact that he's a behemoth of a man, he's huge, tall, super lanky, that helps him out a lot with the striking. Now in the grappling, this is where he's the best. He is super active from his back, and he uses his length to take other opponents' backs from anywhere, whether he's on guard or like pulling guard or whatever on the bottom. He just crawls around like a friggin' tarantula and takes their back. It's impressive. He attacks submissions well. Absolutely nasty ground and pound. That's something added as the career went on. He's even developed some decent takedowns. Before he didn't have it. He had to just kind of go in there like a car wreck and let you knock him down and fall him to the mat before he could start grappling you. Now the takedowns are coming along. He's got that man body coming in. He's no longer a child. So he comes in there and can get a decent takedown. He still doesn't have takedown defense, but realistically, that's not a negative for him. I know I put it as one, but like if you take the dude down, you're in trouble. Maybe not Miller, but at the same time, probably still Miller. I got to go Chase Hooper here. Not because he's the younger guy, but I think because he's the better grappler. He has the length, and I think on the feet, even though Miller might be technically better, I feel like the length is going to be a problem. The youth and durability is going to be a problem for Miller. So I'm going to take Chase Hooper. I think he gets this one done. Gosh, do I think he can sub Miller? Possibly. But I don't know. I could see a decision happening going Hooper's way. Let's take that. Let me know what you think. And our next matchup, Virna Jandiroba takes on Xiaonan in the strawweight division. For Yan, she's 3-2 in her last 5 fights. For Jandiroba, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. When we look at this one here, it is pretty much as cut and dry as striker versus grappler. If you want to boil it down to that, you're not missing much. That is what this is, right? Because Xiaonan is the striker. She is a very solid striker. She's got good combinations, plenty of movement, good volume. She picks her shots really well. She hits pretty hard, and she can counter-strike very well. On the feet, this is all stuff that Virna is going to struggle with. But in the grappling, sure, the takedown defense for Xiaonan is very good, but once she gets taken down, that's where she struggles. She stuffs the takedowns well, but if you get her down, and as the fight goes on, she'll get worse at that. That's just how it works if you have to fight off takedowns constantly. But either way, once you get her down, you can really hold her there, especially when you're as skilled as Virna. Because for Virna, she's, I say decent striker, but really it's just because she has the grappling threat that sometimes she can land some shots while she's coming forward, and she's durable as all get out. Even though she just gets hit in the face all the time, girl is extremely durable. She'll just eat shots and wear you out trying to get to the takedowns. That's what she wants to do. Takedowns are just decent, but she will drag you to the mat, right? She doesn't need to have a pretty takedown. Once she gets a hold of you, she'll just climb on your back from there because she takes the back really well. She's got excellent control, and she does have a pretty large submission arsenal. Honestly, this is going to come down to whether or not Virna's getting the takedowns, and I think she will at some point. And it's just, will she get them early enough? The first round, I think, will go to Xiaonan, but I think after that, Virna takes over, and I think Virna gets the last 2 rounds and wins a decision. So we're taking Virna Jandiroba to get this one done by using her grappling and eating a ton of shots right down the middle from Xiaonan, and that's going to be rough, but she'll get through it. So we're taking Virna. Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next one. Up next, Dan Ige takes on Sean Woodson. Now, Woodson, 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Ige's record on the last 5 doesn't look as good. It's 2-3, but the levels of competition are a little different. Woodson's been climbing the ranks slow. Ige's been there a while, and he also has had some fights on short notice, some things like that. So you give it a little bit of a pass. But what we can't give a pass is the reach and height advantage that Sean Woodson's going to have. It is going to be drastic in this one. So keep that in mind when we're breaking this down. Now, for Sean Woodson, he is pretty much a boxer, right? That's the background he comes from. That's what he uses for most of the fights. That's his best skill set, right? Solid striker overall, uses his range really well, puts together combinations, quick jab, corners his opponents. This is great. He'll corner his opponents, and I don't know how you corner somebody in an octagon. There's not like much of a corner, but he does it, and he's able just to start unloading from there, and that's when he starts having the most success. But otherwise, he's reserved, picks his shots, does a good job. Doesn't just like get too patient and wait around, but he will pick his shots, take his time. He does surprisingly have some decent kicks for a guy that is predominantly a boxer, so there's that as well. Decent grappling, mostly just the fact that he has really good takedown defense. On the other side, Dan Ige, he's also a solid striker. He's got really good power. He's got the ability to work the body well, works the legs well with the leg kick, and he's durable as heck. You're not knocking this dude out pretty much ever. Like, this dude can take a shot. I don't think Sean Woodson's knocking out Dan Ige. He does have also pretty good takedown defense of his own. Honestly, I think this is going to be a striking match. It'd be wild to see either of these guys shooting takedowns. That's just not their style. Not saying they can't. It's just, I'm just thinking that that's probably not what either of them want to do unless somebody's just getting pieced up bad. In this one here, though, I have a hard time seeing Ige winning minutes over Woodson. So I think if it goes to the scorecards, it's going to be Woodson. The reach advantage, Woodson's going to be landing so many more shots before Ige can cross that distance. It's going to be very difficult for him to either feint or get Sean Woodson so far out of position that he can cross that gap without eating a couple of shots. So for me, I feel like Woodson is the side to pick here, but I do think there is a possibility of Woodson getting the knockout over someone, or of Ige getting the knockout over someone like Woodson. It's possible. I don't think it happens, but it's possible. Yeah, Woodson's going to be my pick. Ige is very good, though. If he knocks him out, I won't be terribly surprised. Let me know what you think. Heavyweight matchup. Nikita Krylov finally comes back after not fighting in forever, almost. He's 3-2 in his last 5, but you probably don't remember that because you can't remember the last time you watched him fight. It's been ages. He's fighting Dominick Reyes, who's 2-3 in his last 5. Bounced back with a couple of wins after having a real rough patch before that. But let's look at this fight, right? And I'm going to just put a little caveat here. This is My breakdown of Krylov is based off of assuming these are the skills he still has, but it's hard to say because it's been so stinking long. For Reyes, solid striker. He's got good forward pressure, good combinations. He's going to be the better boxer here. Definitely good volume. The counter strike, that like step back to the cross, I guess do it from the southpaw stance, whatever. But the durability is a problem. That is, I know he got the win over Anthony Smith, who went in there and didn't try to win the fight. So all of a sudden, Dominick Reyes is back. I don't know. But then he got the win over Jacoby. That was a good win. But I feel like Krylov's probably still better than Jacoby at this point in both of their careers. But then again, we don't know because we haven't seen Krylov in ages. So we don't really know where Dominick Reyes is at, and we don't really know where Krylov's at. So bear with me. Decent grappler if he gets on top. His ground and pound's brutal. We don't really see him mix in the grappling very often, but we have seen him crack people, fall him to the ground, and have some nasty, nasty ground and pound. So that's what that's based off. Krylov, he's got that karate-style striking where he comes in with a blitz and just kind of goes after guys, but on the outside, before he goes in for the blitz, he's got really good kicks to all levels. His head kick, whoo, nasty. If he still has these things, that's going to be a good tool for him here, keeping the kicks going at range because you can kick at a further range than you can punch. That's how that works. Good grappling as well. He can mix in the takedowns, and he's got pretty good top pressure when he needs it. So he has that kind of karate style mixed with that wrestling when he needs that, and I think that's a good thing for him. Maybe don't. I don't make that comparison. That doesn't seem fair. But either way, I do think Krylov is going to land a head kick and get the win. That is what I think. And I am basing that off of fights from Krylov from so far ago that I forgot which fight took place in what order until I went back and looked. So take that for what you will. We're taking Krylov. I think he gets a head kick. I'll see you next. The long-awaited UFC debut of Patricio Pitbull. He's taken on Yair Rodriguez in a matchup that is great for the sport and great for the career legacy of Patricio Pitbull. We have Yair coming in 2-3 in his last 5. He's had some tough losses, but I mean, they're to the top of the division, so there is that. Patricio Pitbull 3-2 in his last 5, and you might be thinking, why is this guy in the UFC now? All of a sudden, he's like 37 years old. He's got 3-2 in his last 5. The 2 losses, one of which is when he tried to drop to bantamweight to claim a 3rd belt in Bellator. He's not a bantamweight. He's a featherweight, but he held the lightweight and featherweight belt. And then he's like, I'm going to go to bantamweight. Weight cut was way too hard on him. And then that beat him. And then the next fight after that, he lost as well. I assume because, and based on the way he looked, because of the residual effects from that horrible idea of cutting down to bantamweight. Got back on track, beat Jeremy Kennedy, which is a big-time win because Jeremy Kennedy is very good. Arguably won over in the PFL last week. So, as a giant underdog. Giant. So, whatever. The judges might have robbed him. Either way. So, we've got Yair Rodriguez welcoming Patricio Pitbull into the UFC. Let's start on Pitbull's side. Dude's a solid striker with a ton of power. This dude is knocking guys out that are known to take shots well. Take Michael Chandler, for example. Patricio knocked that dude out in 1 shot. So, there's that. Darts in and out really well. He's got super good counter strikes, and he's patient, and he uses that to make his opponents uncomfortable, just waiting just outside of range. And then when they come in, he'll intercept them with just a bomb, an absolute bomb, and put them to sleep. That's what he does. He hits really hard. Good head movement, good combinations, simple combinations, usually 2-punch combos. You got the 2-3 and the 3-2. Those are his best combos. Yes, he can do more stuff than that, but that's what he uses most of the time. That's all it usually takes. If he hits you twice, you're probably gone. Heavy calf kick. But like I said, he can be patient, and that can sometimes lead to him being low volume because if he's just staying outside of range and his opponent isn't closing the distance, they're standing there staring at each other. He's a solid grappler. He has good takedowns, doesn't use them super often. He can, and if he does, I think he might get them here because I don't think he's expecting him to shoot takedowns, but at least, anybody that's been watching his career lately, he hasn't shot a ton of takedowns. However, he can, and he's good at it. Absolutely nasty guillotine. One of the best in the sport. That's coming from a guy that doesn't think very highly of guillotines. So there's that. Heavy ground and pound, very good takedown defense. If he does get taken down, he will threaten the chokes to get back to his feet. He'll use that to get some space and then work his way back up to his feet. On the other side, Yair Rodriguez, solid striker as well. Dude's got a very dynamic attack. The thing I like about Yair Rodriguez is he mixes up all of his weapons, right? He's got good combinations where he puts everything to all different levels in that combination. Super good footwork, very fast, nasty kicks, again, to all levels. He's got good elbows, knees. The guy is deadly from everywhere. He mixes it up extremely well. That's what I like about Yair. Good grappling. He's active from his back if he gets taken down. He has a deceptive sub-arsenal, but his takedown defense isn't the best, and he can be held down. Here's how I see this fight playing out. I see Patricio coming out and staying at range. And I see him frustrating Yair by just not engaging in the fight. And people are going to be like, this is the guy you guys brought over to the UFC? This guy isn't doing anything. He's not doing anything at all. He's just running away. And that's what it's going to look like because he's going to frustrate Yair. And then at some point, Yair is going to try to close the distance with something a little bit more reckless because he's having trouble catching up to Patricio as he just runs away. And that's when Patricio is going to say, gotcha, because he ain't running away this time. He's going to step in, close off the distance, and he's going to crack Yair. Maybe put him out, maybe follow it up. Yair is tough, so I could see him having to follow this one up. But I think that's where the tide turns, and I think that's where Patricio takes over. I'm taking Patricio Pitbull to get this one done. I know he's 37. I don't care. I think he's got the skills to get it done, so we're taking him here. Patricio Pitbull, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you next. Probably the matchup you've been waiting to hear about. Bryce Mitchell takes on John Silva in the 145-pound division. Now, Bryce is 3-2 in his last 5. John is 5-0. Interesting matchup with how this came about. We're not going to get into that. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts instead. But when we look at that, it is kind of wild how everything came together. But for John Silva, solid striker. That's what we've seen from him at the UFC level for the most part. The guy comes forward with a ton of power, super accurate. Kind of does this like weird, like to hit hands and slap hands and all this fun stuff and like get guys like kind of lulled into this weird sense of like, I don't know what to do here type of thing. It's worked on some of his opponents. I don't know that that's going to be the case in this matchup because of the animosity between the two. He does have a really quick head kick. He's super light on his toes and can kind of bounce in and out, but he'll keep his hands low and he relies on that head movement to get out of the way of strikes. I don't think that's a problem for him here because Bryce is more of a kicker than he is a boxer. So I feel like if he keeps the distance right, he'll be able to kind of see when the kicks are coming in. That's not going to be a problem for him. But I do think these things are going to be a problem for Bryce. In the grappling, we haven't seen a ton from Silva. Yes, we saw him get taken down a couple of times, but he was able to get back up. He did what he needed to do. He does seem to have a quick guillotine. We saw him jump Gilly before, and it worked for him. So he has that. I don't know that you're guillotining Bryce. I just don't think that's going to happen. So this is pretty much null and void. I think he needs to keep this on the feet if he wants to beat Mitchell. Now, for Bryce Mitchell, decent striker. Like I said, the grappling threat sets up some stuff, but his kicks at range, that's about what he's got. He's got these kicks that are, I mean, they're very, like, they kind of come off as like a Taekwondo style kick, honestly, and they're solid. I like them. I think they're good, but he doesn't have the ability to chain them together with his punches super well, so that could be a problem for him in the striking. But in the grappling, if he starts getting his wrestling going, the dude has good chain wrestling, he's got good transitions, he can scramble super well, he takes the back well, and he can chain his submission attempts together. So if he gets this to the mat, Bryce Mitchell is very live. I understand that for sure, but he's got to get it to the mat consistently, or at least get it there and then keep Silva there. That's going to be tricky. Can he do that? Because he's going to have to close the distance and go through that danger zone. And with Silva, that is a very bad danger zone because the dude hits like a truck. I went back and forth on thinking, maybe the value is on the Bryce Mitchell side, and I think it could be. It absolutely could be. But I think it's John Silva's time. I think he's getting this done. I think he's going to be able to crack him on the feet, and he might not knock out Bryce Mitchell in the early goings of this fight. It might end up, there might be some scary spots, but I think all in all, he's going to land the more damaging shots and maybe at some point get the knockout. But also, I think even if it goes to the scorecards, I think John Silva's getting the nod. So we're going to take John Silva to get this one done. I don't think Mitchell's going to sub him, and I do think he's going to have a hard time getting the takedowns easily. So we'll take Silva. Line's a bit wide for me to bet on him, but I wouldn't fault you if you did, I guess. So, Michael Chandler takes on Paddy Pimblett in the 155-pound division. Pimblett is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. 1-4 for Chandler. Chandler's having too much fun in these fights and not trying to win fights. That is a problem for Chandler. But for Paddy Pimblett, we're going to start on his side. He's a good striker, good combinations, good power, but the problem is he leaves that chin way up there to be hit. But Scousers don't get knocked out, he says, and his durability has shown. The dude can take a punch. We've seen it. He gets cracked. Doesn't matter. He gets back into the fight. Does a good job. He's done a little better in his last few fights about not putting his chin right up there, so we'll see if it improves again in this one. He is a solid grappler, though. If Paddy gets you on the mat, you are in some serious trouble. People don't give him enough credit for his grappling. It's very good. He's got some decent takedowns, but the back takes, the transitions in general, great. Got a really good rear naked choke, like super, super solid rear naked choke. But he can chain his submission attempts together. Like I said, transitions to these positions well, and he can scramble really well. Paddy's a very, very high-level grappler. On the other side, Michael Chandler, good striker as well. The guy has really good forward pressure, and he's super quick to close the distance. He'll also fake the takedown or feint the takedown into the overhand, and that's a big power shot for him. If he lands, it hurts. He darts in and out of range. He's got dynamic kicks. We saw that in the Ferguson fight for sure, but we've also seen that in other fights. lands some really heavy kicks. Solid wrestler, powerful takedowns, big slams, double legs, things like that. Heavy ground and pound. He can scramble extremely well. He's got a tight squeeze if he goes for that arm triangle or even a rear naked choke if he wants to. Good back taker. Likes to get the body triangle on there and just start landing some ground and pound from there. It's tough because the Michael Chandler that came over to the UFC before he became the guy that's like, I'm just here to have fun fights, would probably have a pretty good shot at beating Paddy Pimblett, but Paddy Pimblett's been upgrading. He's been leveling up. The dude's grappling is legit. The guy's striking is good enough to hold his own. And I got to go with Paddy. I think Chandler's going to have a hard time knocking him out. I think at some point, I think this is a 5-rounder, so I think at some point Paddy's going to be able to get this fight to the mat on his terms, and I think at that point he's going to really, really cause some problems for a guy like Michael Chandler, who just seems to want to have fun fights and doesn't seem to care if he wins fights. So, we're going Paddy Pimblett. I think he gets it done. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next. It's the main event. I'm actually having a hard time with this one. I really think this is a tricky matchup to break down, and I'll explain why as we go. We got Alex Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopez. Now, this is the main event for the vacant featherweight championship. Ilya moved up. Here we are. We're vacant. Lopez is 5-0 in his last 5, 2-3 for Volkanovski in the last 5. Now, those losses are tricky because it's Ilya and Islam twice. Those are both very, very top-level competitors. You can't really hold that against him, although 2 of them are knockouts, and that's a problem. On this one, we're going to break down Lopez first. He's a good striker, good forward pressure, power, volume, absolutely brutal when he comes forward and starts flinging shots at you. He starts really quick, and that makes it a problem for anybody because if he lands these shots, you're in some serious trouble. He's got good kicks. He's got a really nice counter hook if somebody comes in and closes the distance, but he can be a bit wild, and that's something that can cost him. You know, he'll get hit himself, he'll get taken down, things like that. However, in the grappling, he's extremely good. Solid grappler, very opportunistic, both with his transitions and his submission attacks. He's got a wide array of submissions in the arsenal. Good scrambles, very active from the back. Honestly, he has a lot of things to like. But he's fighting against one of the best to ever do it, and that's Alex Volkanovski. The guy's a solid striker as well. He controls range extremely well. He's really good at moving in, landing his shots, and getting out of the pocket before getting hit. Yeah, I know. He did get hit by Ilia Topuria. But before he got hit, he was doing a really good job about getting in, landing his shots, and getting out. It's just at some point, he got caught, and that's what happens. He was looking pretty good until then. Good feints. He really cuts off the cage well, feinting people into freezing up and then coming forward and landing his shots. Leg kicks to accumulation, just keeps spamming them out there. He's touching the leg over and over and over again. And over 5 rounds, those add up. They slow the opponent down, things like that. Good combinations, puts the punches and kicks together. He's a solid grappler as well. His takedowns will come at the end of his strikes. If he gets the takedown, he's got relentless ground and pound. This dude's ground and pound is fantastic. He's got really good submission defense, really good scrambles, really good takedown defense, and he gets back up easily when he is taken down. He'll just scoot himself to the cage and just power back up. Does a great job with it. He's extremely strong for his size. He's got great cardio. Here's the thing. He's going to get knocked out in 2 of his last 3 fights. It's not what you want to see for a guy that was one of the best champions to ever do it. And you wonder about durability because skill for skill, I think Volkanovski is the better fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think Diego Lopez is very skilled. I think Alex Volkanovski is one of the best to ever do it, is what I'm saying. He is one of the best fighters we've ever seen. Diego Lopez is youthful, powerful, fast, and he could absolutely knock out a guy like Volkanovski. If it goes to decision, I feel like Volkanovski is winning the minutes. If it ends inside the distance, I mean, especially in the first, say, 3 rounds, I think it's something where Volkanovski is looking good until he's not. This is a tricky one for me. I picked Diego to be the champion at the end of the year, so part of me thinks I kind of have to go with him. But the other part of me says, well, you could hedge out by picking Volk here, and if he wins, then great, you got that. And then if Diego wins, you still got the end of the year champion potential. All right, guys, I haven't made a pick on this one yet. I'm going to do it right now. And this one might switch. Tune into the panel. We're doing it Thursday on Wednesday this week. I've got a concert I'm going to on Thursday. So checking out the Rise Against concert. So that'll be fun. It'll be a good time. But we're doing that on Wednesday night at 9-ish Eastern time. So I may change my pick, and if I do, I'll do it on that show. But for now, give me Volkanovski to avoid the damage and get the win with 0 confidence whatsoever. Guys, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't done it, like the video. I appreciate it. Also, check out the video I did on Juicy J. Julian Erosa, my guy. It should be popping up on screen if it hasn't already. Check it out. That video is not monetizable. I've used licensed music, and I've used clips from the UFC. Show your support by liking that one as well, because it can't make me a penny. I just think it's a really cool video, and I like Julian Erosa. So thank you, guys. I will see you in the next one.